Hey, it's Matt Roush.
And Mike Brennan.
And calling us from the library right now, it looks like, is Richard Stiennon, our esteemed cybersecurity expert. We haven't had you on in a while because we've been having so much fun getting scared by who I affectionately call Dr. Doom, Fred Brown, the epidemiologist, talking about COVID. But I understand there are some fresh insights into cybersecurity and the bad guys that you're going to have for us today.
Yeah, great to see you guys. So I've been all summer long, I've been talking to companies in this space called threat intelligence, or sometimes I'm calling it cyber threat intelligence because it's different than what spy agencies do about terrorists and what have you. So these guys, most of them mine something called the deep and dark web. So these are all the Tor sites, the Onion routing network. Which is kind of anonymous, and they all set up these anonymous sites, and only they know where they are. And on them is where they say, hey, I got a batch of 1 million credit cards, and they'll like sell you a sample or give you a sample so you validate that they're still alive. And that's sometimes when you see a penny charged to your credit card, that's the cyber thieves checking to see if it's still active. But within 24 hours of that, there's going to be some huge charges, or your bank account will be empty. So these guys have spent the last 10, 15 years infiltrating those networks, posing as bad guys. And then they just hook up a computer to read all of the chats on the entire forum all the time and put them in a big database. And then you, as a customer of threat intelligence, get access to that database, and you would say, well, let's see if anybody's checked our, the 4-digit of our bank credit card. And it'll say, yeah, all these forums are talking about this big breach that you had that you might not have known about. Or you can check, is anybody in the underworld planning on kidnapping the CEO's kids? And you can find that out too. So that's the threat intelligence space. I've just spent all the time putting that together, just finished it today. And I can report in the industry, there are 66 vendors that provide services like this, all the different parts of it. And there are 4,600 employees at those vendors. And since the beginning of the year, first they grew by 5%. But then they've lost 2% since COVID hit. So there's, confirming the suspicion that COVID is having an impact even on things like the security industry.
So, and you've just, is this report that you've been working on, are you getting ready to release that?
Yeah. So I'll publish most of the findings on Forbes, and then I'll actually sell the report to, investors and consumers of big enterprise IT solutions that will want to know all those vendors. And along with the written report, my analysis, they'll get the spreadsheet that I use to track all this data. And then, first time ever, I'm going to update it every quarter because I get new data every quarter on the number of employees. So I can estimate who's growing and who's failing to grow. And I track all the investments that happen and the mergers and acquisitions that happen too.
Okay, when is this going to be released? Well, September is tomorrow. So what, in September or when?
In September, in September. Pretty much in time it'll be for the first half. The report covers the first half of 2020, and then I'm already starting the research for the third quarter, and then we'll have basically every quarter we'll release a new report.
So where can people go to get this report?
Yeah, you just go to it-harvest.com.
And then I asked this question. I'm sure there's a cost involved. What are you charging for something like this?
Yeah. So what bugged me whenever you search on what's the market size for X, you eventually almost immediately get to one of these market research companies, which I figured out they're all pretty much the same company with different names based in India, and they're all fake. So when they launched the availability of their report for $10,000, they just do some Google searches, assemble something that they can put into their PDF template, and they'll send you a redacted version as an example. Then after you pay them $10,000, they kick off the researchers to fill in the blanks. So this is the opposite of that. So I'll charge $1,500 for a copy of the report, and then $5,000 for annual subscription to the report.
And you won't run off to India or anything like that, right?
So I do use India for research. So every quarter I've got to go through 3,000 vendors, check out how many employees of the vendors are on LinkedIn. And I can't do that in even a quarter. I couldn't do it myself. So I turn it over to my guy in India. He's got a team. They turn it around in 2 or 3 days.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You also wanted to talk about Elon Musk's pig.
Yeah. Gertrude, right?
Yes.
Who is going to be one of the most famous pigs since Babe. So on Friday, I think it was, Elon Musk had the biggest reveal ever, right? So kind of mimicking what he did with Tesla a year before, when he was revealing that they were ready to go to the self-driving car at the push of a button. This was just as exciting. He's built something called Neurolink, which he describes as a Fitbit inserted in your brain with lots of thin wires. And they basically use a robot that opens up your head, drills a hole in your skull, implants, hundreds of wires now, but eventually tens of thousands of wires that can read and write to your brain neurons. And then they close it all up, and it's an inpatient surgery. He showed off the robot that does that. He wants to get it down to several $1,000s in order to do this operation and install it. And then they think that they will be able to read impulses and then create impulses in your brain. And the first application is going to be people with cerebral palsy or quadriplegics, or people who have had spinal injuries. And the spinal injury one is cool because we know he can read the thoughts that initiate the motion of a muscle. So they'll put another one lower below the break in your spinal cord, and through Bluetooth basically communicate with it and communicate your desire to move your legs to your legs. It's pretty exciting. And of course, people
bypassing, in other words, bypassing the spinal cord injury that makes you unable to move your legs.
Right. He's treating it like a wire bypass, a tap, and then another tap to bypass it. It's very cool.
So we're going to be the future people will be cyborgs or something. Then is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. This will be. There are people that they can do that with now, right? This is a research thing that's been around for decades. But as usual, Elon Musk takes the basic research and he imagines what it could mean for the future, and then he tries to build it. And he's been pretty successful building a space company out of nothing. When people have been talking about how to do it for decades as well. My
first thought in the what could possibly go wrong department is if they can put impulses, if they could make, if they could send content to your brain as well as you being able to use these wires, somebody could, essentially hack your brain. I mean,
yep.
And make you do something you don't want to do. I was just flashing in my mind on the Reggie Jackson scene from the Naked Gun movie where he's like, I must kill the queen.
Yep. Yep. Completely. That's what all those science fiction stories will be about. There were a bunch of people that asked about security, right? Because this is, he did a live Q&A over Twitter. Yeah. They used the right words to describe, containment and multiple layers and all the rest, but I still didn't feel comfortable because the concept is that all of the thinking will be for the new device will be done in your cell phone, and you'll communicate with your cell phone. And I don't think that's going to work. I think you need something different than the device that's getting hacked all the time in order to have such critical information and abilities. But that's okay. You have a separate cell phone, because you do that to access the internet. Somebody asked him, will I be able to call my Tesla to come to my front door? And he said, absolutely, yes. One of the engineers said he was on the program because he wanted to see telepathy, so you would direct human to human transmission of your thoughts without having to formulate words, we'll see how that goes.
Well, that's not always a good idea, I can tell you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You definitely want to be able to turn that on and off.
Yeah. Somebody with Tourette's syndrome would be in real trouble, right?
That's for sure. That's
Yeah.
for sure. But they could probably cure Tourette's. That's
Yes, good.
any
Good point.
neurological disorder, blindness. Replace your eyes with cameras. Deafness, give you the ability.
Yeah,
to hear.
I saw some stuff about depression and anxiety, which is rampant these days. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Depression, anxiety. They mentioned. Those things that are neurological, right? Not. Sometimes you should be depressed because things are pretty bad. It just goes on and on when so it's brand new world. If he takes a company public, definitely buy it before it gets to the point where it has to split 4 or 5 to 1 like Tesla did today.
Yeah, no kidding.
A brave new world. You also wanted to talk about the chief security officer for Uber.
Yeah, so last week we saw the Justice Department and the state, I don't know if it's the Attorney General, filed criminal charges against the former chief security officer at Uber. And that is just the world I live in is just in an uproar. Nobody knows what to think of this. This is a first on many, many levels, but first time that a chief security officer has been held both personally liable for a breach or the repercussions of a breach and criminally liable. So this person, Joe Sullivan, who's currently the chief information security officer for Cloudflare, the company we all know because yesterday Cloudflare went down along with Level 3 and CenturyLink. But Cloudflare is controversial in its own way. But now their CISO is under indictment for criminal charges while he was at Uber. He's also an attorney, former Justice Department prosecutor, got his way into the cybersecurity world and ended up at Uber, which, not all of us trust Uber to play fairly in the marketplace. And they had a massive breach in 2014. So the FTC, doing what the FTC does, was investigating to see if they had taken proper measures post breach in order to protect their drivers and customers' data. While the FTC was investigating, they had another breach in 2016. And they're accusing Joe Sullivan of not revealing that to them and taking actions to prevent them from learning of it. So basically, he was covering up knowledge of a felony. To make things worse, he paid the hackers $100,000 to not tell anybody about the breach. Mm. So
it's always it's the cover-up that always is worse than the crime, right?
Well, you've got all the evidence of the cover-up. The crime's a little harder to prove.
Right.
But if you lie and cover up information, they'll be after you. So
we're going to have to leave it at that. That 15 minutes blew right by. So if someone will take a look at your research report or check you out, how do they do that, Richard?
Yeah, you can always find me on Twitter at Cyberwar, where I make sure everybody knows about anything that I'm doing.
Traditional four-year students love Lawrence Technological University's thriving campus life, but LTU has always met non-traditional students' needs too. Lawrence Tech offers over 100 degree and certificate programs that can get adult students started or back on track. And most of our classes are conveniently offered evenings at our beautiful Southfield campus or online, so you can balance your social, family, and work life even while you power up your career. Lawrence Tech, where Blue Devils dare.